All right. Good morning, Microsoft Build virtual attendees. Thank you for joining us for the Yammer team, product marketing team, and product management team expert Q&A. We have a couple folks on the call here. It looks like people are still filing in, so we're going to give just a couple minutes before we truly get started with the content. But in the meantime, we have just a little bit of housekeeping. First off, again, thank you for joining. This has been a very exciting year for Yammer. We've had some news here at Microsoft Build. We'll cover that, and then we're going to try and preserve as much time as we can for Q&A, as we are just certain that there are a lot of questions that you folks have. Wherever you are in the world, we definitely appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Of course, this is not the only medium that you can find our team in. You can also find us on the Yammer Tech community. You can find many of us on Twitter. But before we get started, there's just a couple things we'll need to cover. And can my team just confirm that they are seeing me advance the slides? I think that there's a little bit of a lag here.
I do not see the slides advancing right now.
All right. Ooh. Let's go back into here. Here we go. So we're going to do some introductions. We'll then open up for Q&A. We'll show you how you can learn more, and then we will close out. I think we have only until 7:15. Depending on the amount of questions, we might be able to hang out just a little bit longer. But without further ado, just want to let you know that this will be, or may be recorded. That will only be for internal use. Depending on the total demand of the questions, we might publish the full Q&A someplace public. Maybe we'll add it on to our latest build blog for Yammer. Don't spam the chat, please. We'll get to as many questions as we can, but keep in mind when you ask a question, they go into a private queue. We have Joe and Revan here helping manage that queue. We'll publish questions that we think everyone should see. If it seems like it's something that wouldn't help the greater audience, we will respond privately to you. And of course, we do ask that all people here do adhere to the Microsoft Code of Conduct. I'll leave this up on the screen. You've probably seen this at Microsoft events in the past, but essentially, please act appropriately. Everyone here is in a safe space. This is a Microsoft event. We want everyone to feel included and comfortable. So let's please keep that in mind when we're sharing content. And of course, from the speaker side, we will do the same. Without further ado, my name is Mike Holste. I am a PMM on the Yammer team on Microsoft 365. I also look after the vertical of overall employee engagement. And if you are on Twitter and would like to connect, here's my information. And Raven, I will let you introduce yourself.
Hey, morning, good evening, wherever you're joining from. My name is Raven. I'm a program manager with the Yammer and the Microsoft Groups team, and happy to answer any questions specifically about what we announced yesterday with the Yammer and Outlook interactive emails, or perhaps anything specific with Yammer and or Microsoft 365 Groups.
And I guess I'll throw this up here in case you are unfamiliar with live events. We are actually using our own technology here. This is a Teams live event, so we're using Microsoft Teams to produce and broadcast the event. Of course, you do get Q&A. Please use the chat box to ask your questions. If you'd like to keep your name anonymous, you're welcome to do so. If we know you and you want to use your name, it's always great to see a familiar face, especially here in the morning. Again, they'll all go into a private queue. Questions that are approved will be published for all folks to see. You might see a couple people joining from the Microsoft side as well. If they're going to join in the Q&A, we do ask that you introduce yourself so that we know you're a representative of Microsoft. And we'll also be taking questions here on the call. And then, of course, look for answers from Raven as well. He is our product specialist. But today we are going to talk about interactive Yammer conversations in Outlook. This was our big news today. We'd announced a previous version of this for Outlook on the web in March. But what this means is that while you are now in your Outlook email, all of your Yammer emails that come through, you will be able to respond to. Before, you would just see a little bit of a teaser saying that you've been mentioned or that there's an announcement in Yammer, and you'd have to click through to actually go and view that announcement and engage with it. But now, conversations really come to life in Outlook. So you'll have the ability to see the conversation, you can like, you can reply, you can share links in it. And then if you're using Outlook in the web, you actually get a ton more functionality. So you can attach GIFs and files, you can use expressive emojis, you can mark best answers, you can attach recent files, you get the full new modern publisher as part of the new Yammer. So we really think that this is going to kick off a lot more engagement of Yammer, a lot more usage within your own tenants. And we view this as a tool that corp comms professionals can use when they're in their Yammer community and they want to target their specific Yammer communities, or using the all network feed to engage all of their employees. They can set an announcement, and now that announcement will get instant feedback from Outlook. So as opposed to using a kind of a one-way channel like an email distribution list, they can have a much more engaging conversation with all their community members by kicking that announcement off in Yammer, and now people would be able to like and respond and get some of that social proof that exists that we might not use Outlook for. Typically in an Outlook email, especially if it's one of my senior leaders here at Microsoft and they want to share a very wide email, I'm probably not going to hit reply all to that because I don't want to email 5,000 people and spam them. But this provides an easy way for us to still share our opinions, join the conversation, stay connected to what's happening, bubble up ideas and feedback to whoever the community managers are or whoever the community owners are, while still staying in Outlook and getting all of my work done, which is super, super valuable. And Raven, you want to talk a little bit about what we actually announced today for this coming to Outlook for Mac, Outlook for Desktop, iOS, and Android?
For sure. Thanks, Michael. So what you see here on the screen is two versions of Outlook, which is Outlook on Windows and Outlook on mobile, showing the latest integration that we launched yesterday. What this does is it does not bring all the richness of Yammer, but what it does, it actually makes the email interactive so that you can take some basic actions such as commenting and also liking and reacting to the conversations that you got notified for in your Outlook inbox, and then complete your task. This version of the interactive emails is optimized for quick task completion. So you'll be able to get all the context on why you received that email notification in the first place, if you were mentioned in it, or if this was a community announcement that you're a member of, or somebody possibly replied on an existing conversation on your post on Yammer. And then you will get this email notification in your Outlook inbox. And once you get it, you would easily be able to like it, comment on it, see all the replies on it. And if there's anything advanced that you need to do, you always can go and look at that conversation on yammer.com or on Outlook on the web, and then you can easily do more advanced actions on yammer.com. So this version specifically optimized for quick task completion. There's no specific need to update your Outlook apps unless you're not on the latest builds from the App Store or from the latest build released by Microsoft for Outlook on Windows. But this should already be a deployed technology. You don't need to do anything specific to be able to see this. What you only need to do is you would need to switch on your email notifications from Yammer to be able to easily consume all of that content within your Outlook inbox. This is based on what we call the Actionable Messages platform. And the Actionable Messages platform is powered by Adaptive Card Schema. The Adaptive Card Schema helps us define an interactive UX using a JSON payload. And this payload is sent as a part of the email message, and clients like Outlook on Windows and Outlook Mobile are primed to render this JSON payload versus rendering static HTML, which is associated with the email. So that's how this works. Happy to answer any more questions about this integration. Mike, off to you.
Great. And I'm going to switch from my PowerPoint now, and I'm going to just share my screen so that you can see this, or so that all the folks on the call today can see this in action. And let me know when my demo tenant is up.
Yeah, I can see your demo tenant.
Great. So here I am in my email, and this is Outlook on the web. And I can see my email comes through. Up in the top here of the email pane, I see that it's a Yammer announcement that was made in one of the communities that I follow. And I can come down, instead of just seeing that notification and clicking over into Outlook, having that jarring app switching experience, or clicking out of Outlook rather, I can see the conversation, and all of these are live links. I can see what's being shared here. I can see the tags. I can follow the tags. I can like and unlike this post directly from my feed. And when I comment, I get this brand new publisher. It looks the exact same as it would if I were in web. I have access to all of my rich text. I can attach files. I can even add fun GIFs. And it's going to say, seriously, how cool is this? I can go and share it, and it adds it right to the thread, just as I would expect. And really helps us be able to stay focused in the places that we work and make Yammer be that social layer that connects across the M365 apps. So now that you've seen it live, you've seen the demo, you've heard the news, let's go and jump back into the live event for what everyone is here for and answer some questions. All right, going into the Q&A. From a product perspective, what are your biggest competitors in this space? Jenny, that's a great question. We have the M365 apps in general, as a suite, it has a number of competitors in the workplace. Obviously, Google Apps is a kind of source of gravity. A lot of people using Google Mail or Gmail. But Yammer particularly sees some competition from Facebook for Work, or Workplace by Facebook, as it's now known. One of the things that I really think that sets Microsoft apart from its competitors is that there isn't another company that has such breadth in one suite. That with Microsoft 365, you get Teams, you get Outlook, you get PowerPoint, Word, you get all of these best of breed solutions, and it's all included in one enterprise plan. So it doesn't take additional investment or additional resources. You get Yammer with Outlook if you're an Office 365 customer. So we of course, each app does have one or two competitors, but we don't really we don't always see someone who has quite the well-roundedness of our entire solutions. Another question from Jenny: how do you differentiate Yammer from different competing products? Again, we think that the power really comes from the entirety of the suite. Yammer is a very mature product in the enterprise social space. We were one of the very, very first movers. Microsoft acquired them back in 2012, and ever since has been building it natively using first-party integrations into things like Outlook, into things like Microsoft Teams, into SharePoint. We have a new web part coming for SharePoint. And with this in mind, it's really, you don't just get Yammer, you get how Yammer connects into the other things that you're using at your organization. We have tons of large 100-person plus or 100+ groups that collaborate on Teams and Yammer. Groups debate where they want to be. What's your guidance on long-term vision for Teams and Yammer? This is a great one, great question, Alejandro, and this is something we get all the time, kind of the which tool won question. From Microsoft's perspective, we see Microsoft Teams as our hub for teamwork, our kind of single pane of glass where we get our core work done on with the people and the projects that we work on every day. So the kind of things that you know each morning when you go into work, or if you're working from home right now, that you have to accomplish, that you kind of tie directly to your job description and directly to the key deliverables of your role. Teams is perfect for that. You have your chat there, you have your meetings and calendar, you can collaborate with your team members on files, you can organize into channels and teams and chats. Yammer is perfect for those bigger org-wide conversations. And our new Yammer app from Microsoft Teams actually helps you bring your communities into the hub for teamwork, so you can kind of seamlessly move right from your focus work into those big enterprise conversations that you want to be a part of. Because today, folks spend more and more time in teamwork, but they don't necessarily spend all of their time. Of course, I work very closely with Ravin. However, I am still a member of our HR community, and I'm still a member of our photography community at work. And I still want to know our guidance about, should I be working from home during these interesting times we all find ourselves in? So there's still these conversations and big company moments and town halls that I still want to be a part of. And I don't just want to view, I want to engage with, I want to ask questions with, I want to connect with leadership and share my ideas and connect to knowledge across the organization where I might not know who to go tap on the shoulder to find these things out. And those are really, really strong use cases for Yammer. So we truly see Yammer as powering leadership connection, corporate communications, and overall employee engagement and employee experience. So how do you stay connected to your organization? And then, of course, open knowledge sharing. So how do you get all of that information and all of that organizational knowledge and insights out of employees' heads and out into an open place where other people can leverage it or self-serve it or use it as a front door to their department, where I can go and ask a question to an Ask HR community where I might not know who my particular HR rep is, but I can go and find general knowledge and kind of throw that question out into the community and wait for them to be able to crowdsource a solution for me. Jenny, it looks like your question about, does Yammer integration Outlook work in browser, in desktop, and mobile apps? Is the experience the same across the board? I think we got to that, but just for a quick rundown, there's a little bit more functionality in Outlook on the web. We were able to attach files, mark best answers, add GIFs, that kind of thing. But it is now rolling out to desktop and mobile where you can like and reply, and it will be 100% rolled out by the end of this month. Correct, Ravin?
That is correct.
Woohoo! From Brody, how do you position or market Yammer with regard to teams and newer teams like the all-company team? Yeah, so we touched on this a little bit. Yammer is for your entire org. For teams, they have increased team size. I believe it's now 10,000, but many enterprises are larger than 10,000. And Yammer is still kind of our best suited tool for threaded conversations. There's the highest amount of functionality there. For big live events in Yammer, it's a truly, truly very strong experience where you can continue the conversation after, catch up on the event after. The event doesn't conclude when the live event is over. So the tool we're using right now, Microsoft Teams, it is almost slightly more like a webinar tool, where when this event wraps up, the Q&A isn't closed. In Yammer, it is persistent for folks who want to attend that company meeting, but cannot do it live. But one of our big bets is that Communities app for Microsoft Teams. So now you don't have to pick Yammer or Teams. You can bring Yammer really, really easily into Teams and pin it to that rail. Is there a single place that I can see everything that's new? It seems like the feed is only what Yammer wants to highlight, not necessarily what's new in my communities. I don't want to miss anything. I could simply scroll through. Ooh, the feed is optimized. It might not show you every update. If you wanted to truly see everything, you could set your notification settings in email to notify you anytime that there is a new post or comment within the communities that you're joined. The other way to do it is when you're on your home rail. If you're looking at your communities, there's actually a little bit of a number that shows you how many new posts there. So you wouldn't be scrolling through, but you could go and click into each community if you wanted to make sure that you saw every single post. group communities together on the left side. That way I can see all the leadership communities. Ooh, that is some good product feedback, Alejandro. We'll go ahead and publish this question, and I'll get to it in the chat after. One thing that is new in the new Yammer is the ability to favorite a community. We're bringing the functionality to be able to set featured communities at the organization level. We don't have a way yet to be able to combine communities or to group them. The workaround that I use for the communities that I manage within Microsoft is to use the bio in the community itself that shows in the right rail. And I use HTML there. Well, it's an HTML box, so I use hyperlinks there to create a bulleted list of related communities. And then I just add all the hyperlinks in there so that they're super handy for anyone. And they can see that, oh, you know, Mike's new Yammer demo marketing group is also connected to the new Yammer group. And they can seamlessly kind of click back and forth. Are there more analytic capabilities in the roadmap? Today, we only get analytics at the group level, but kind of hard to get them centralized to be able to make decisions based on it. Yes, we are bringing a new host of analytic capabilities into Yammer, both at group insights and then also in announcements, so that folks who are using this new Outlook integration can get some more understanding of the impact that their communications are having. So they'll be able to see scene count, they'd be able to see engagement stats and so forth, even if it happens on Outlook. Be possible to disable private messages in Yammer. At this time, we have no plans to disable private messages in Yammer. I know it's something that we've thought of. I know that we're also investigating ways to use Teams messages. You know, Teams is our big bet for chat. So I think, Ben, you're right on the same page of where some of our thinking is. But at this time, we have no immediate plans to deprecate Yammer PMs.
That is in fact correct, Mike. We are looking to work with the Teams team, and we are working with them actively to make sure that there is a rationalization between Teams chat and Yammer private messages. We do understand that some customers have a concern with Yammer's private messages, and we completely understand that concern, and hence we are working with the Teams team to rationalize the story with Teams chat and private messages. So in the future, what we are planning to do is bring in the Teams chat on the web Yammer and the new Yammer, and we will let you folks know as and when we are ready to do that as a part of our release roadmap. So stay tuned on that.
And Ibrahim is asking for some good examples of organizations using Yammer to its full potential. There are a ton of great use cases and customer stories. If you go to your search engine and type in Yammer customer stories, we have dedicated pages and pages of them, but a few that I'd like to call out that I think do some very great work. Sanofi Pasteur, Shell, let's see, Ernst & Young is a big customer of ours. We've recently also just rolled out with Coca-Cola, but we have tons of customer stories and we try to make them all public. Whether you go on the Yammer blog, you'll read some testimonials from folks who have been kind enough to share how their organization is leveraging Yammer on the Yammer blog, but we also, of course, have some long form customer stories of how organizations are using Yammer and Microsoft 365. I don't tend to use the web versions of MS Apps as I have rich clients installed. Will this new functionality be available for Outlook rich client? Yep, of course. I think we covered that. So it is rolling out to Outlook, whether you are on Mac or on Windows. You will see the like and reply functionality built on adaptive cards. And meeting. Is there a plan when we could like using Yammer and Teams meeting with breakout rooms? I'm not totally sure I understand this question. The Yammer and Teams live events are both using Stream right now. That would be probably the closest way. You could set a town hall as a Yammer event, and now you can actually produce it using Teams, but your attendees still see it in Yammer and engage on Yammer. Or of course, you can also make a Teams live event from the Teams native app. Does Yammer provide the ability to post as an alias? For example, you mentioned connecting with HR, but what if HR doesn't want to identify the individuals? Historically, you've been able to change the name of Yammer, and if you are not enforcing your Office 365 identity, there is a potential, and it's something we've done in the past, even internally at Microsoft, where we use a alias email address, but it is a M365 email address still. So we had one called techcommunity@microsoft.com, and we used that to make a tech community account, and we gave a number of people permission to sign into that email address. But it wasn't just taping over our own name, so I wasn't changing the name on Mike Holste's account. It was starting off with an email address that was already in the system, and then naming that and using that, and just providing a number of community managers access to it. Another way you could do that is using Flow, where you could have a different account pick up a post, whether it was an executive sent it or someone from the HR team sent it, and they could use a particular hashtag or something, and that would generate a Flow message that would come from a more generic account. All right, let's see if we have any more new questions coming through.
There are a few questions in the published section.
All right, you bet. Let's go to published. In our organization, we have disabled the ability for users to create new Office 365 groups and teams. What functionality do you lose in Yammer as a result? So if you have restricted group creation, you don't actually lose any functionality within Yammer. The only thing you might lose is a little bit of that serendipitous create a community for any of your needs idea of a world, where your end users might have different interests or different goals on what they use a community for, or different ideas that they want to crowdsource. It does slightly restrict them. If that is the case, I would suggest still having a way for community members to request that a group is created. So having an email address that they could reach out to try and kind of plead their case for why they'd like a Yammer community. But from a direct nuts and bolts point of view, they shouldn't lose any functionality by being in native mode or controlling group creation. All right, we got to that question. Follow up and seeing all your between good version. Alejandro, that is good product feedback. I know we have a number of changes rolling out with the feed as the new Yammer gets closer to its worldwide release. I can happily share that back, but I don't know anything right now about just creating an all new option. Looks like Raven's got a number of these. How can I join a Yammer group into an existing Office 365 group? Currently, I don't believe, Alejandro, is your latest question, is this discussing how to merge essentially two Yammer groups, or how to attach a Yammer group to an existing Office 365 group? Actually, I think that's the latter.
Yeah, I think the answer that I know of this question is I don't think there's a way to attach a existing Yammer group with another existing Office 365 group, but with native mode, what one can do is one can convert a Yammer group into a new Office 365 group, and there is a migration that you can kick off of all the existing data in that Yammer group that gets migrated to the new Office 365 backed group for Yammer. So that's the part of the native mode project. If you need more information, please do let us know or search on Yammer native mode.
Great, thank you.
There's another question from Jenny about, does Yammer integrate with Outlook in terms of events? That is a great question, Jenny. And at this point in time, you would not see a seamless integration between Yammer events and Outlook, but rest assured it will soon come, and we're working very closely and partnering with closely with the Outlook team to make sure that if there's an event that you need to attend, you don't need to worry about whether it's on Yammer or Teams or Outlook. It is an event that is on your calendar, which is your one calendar across all Microsoft properties. So there's a lot of work happening in that space. Please stay tuned for more updates.
Yeah, and I think in the immediate short term, we're adding that calendar invitation for producers and presenters, the owners of the event, and then shortly thereafter, trying to bring it to all attendees. Great question. Set up and govern a subset of Yammer groups. The Yammer communities in this instance, if you were to set up and try and govern them together, they would not be interrelated by nature. If you're the community admin, of course, you would be able to control what happens with these Yammer communities. Using native mode, you could set policies that exist for all of your communities, but not necessarily just a subset of them.
And just to add to that, if your Yammer group is backed by Office 365 group, then all the policies and governance that you do, for all other Office 365 groups would apply similarly to Yammer groups as well. So you can do a lot with Yammer groups and governance based on the Yammer native mode, and if your groups are connected to the Office 365 platform.
Cool. And then I see one other question. Any ideas on the time frame and roadmap for releasing this for desktop? I think this was from earlier, but just in case, again, it's rolling out now, and it should be hitting your tenant by the end of this month or very quickly early June. All right, that takes us a little bit past time, and I don't see any other unanswered questions or questions we haven't gotten to. So let me go back into PowerPoint. So I'm going to share this real quick, and I will just leave you with this slide that kind of sums up what we talked about today. Oh, oops. And I'm going to share this program. So we kind of touched on these, but I wanted to put it all in one wrap-up slide. If you are using the new Yammer in public preview, which we announced just last Monday, where all organizations or all tenants now have the ability to opt in to the preview, we are in public preview. You can go get your hands on the new Yammer now. If your organization hasn't enabled it and you are an end user who wants to play with the new Yammer, you can see some of the new Yammer features here in Outlook. You'll be able to see some in the SharePoint web part, which is coming very, very soon, rolling out early June. You can also get the new Yammer in the Communities app for Microsoft Teams. That new integration for Microsoft Teams is new Yammer styled, all new Yammer functionality. So that's really the most complete way to get your hands on it if you're not in the public preview experience. And we also have updated iOS and Android Yammer apps. So if you are using Yammer on mobile, that is built on the new Yammer as well. We have some new live events and video experiences, again, including that ability to create a Teams live event, but still attend and participate and engage with it in Yammer. But it just makes producing it kind of very, very simple. Is bring your own encoder so you can share using just your desktop and screen sharing, similar to what we did for today's call. The Yammer app for Teams is available. Search, hit the ... in the Teams nav bar and type in Communities or Yammer, and you will see the Yammer app come up, and you can pin it to your rail and bring all of your communities in a full new Yammer experience into that hub for teamwork. Yammer and Outlook is rolling out. SharePoint web part, again, is rolling out very soon, and there's no action necessary if you're using the classic SharePoint Conversations web part. It will automatically update, and it will inherit all that new Yammer styling. You'll get best answer, you'll get that new publisher, the ability to make announcements right from it. A lot of new cool features and functionality, and very, very cool that it won't take any action or migration or updating from the admin. It will just, when it hits your tenant, it will just kind of glamorize your SharePoint Conversations web part. And then we do have some new compliance capabilities capabilities. We have native mode, we have e-discovery for Yammer, we have some local data residency for networks that are new. And then we also have something called communication compliance as well that just rolled out. So check out that on our Yammer blog. It helps global admins be able to identify risk, so inappropriate posts, and use machine learning to basically identify and notify admins when abusive behavior or things that violate code of conduct are being said within Yammer communities or even within private messages. So gives you a little bit more control, and it kind of washes away some of the worries that executives have about rolling out enterprise social, that people may abuse it. So with that, we want to say thank you. I know we're a couple minutes over time, but we appreciate you hanging out and joining, whether it's early in the morning for you or late at night. We certainly appreciate your time. Here's how to stay connected to us. We have a ton of new blogs landing. If you've been following the Yammer blog, or if you're following Yammer on social, we've been making announcements almost every week, and that will continue. We are in the year of Yammer, and we have a lot to share, all approaching, of course, our worldwide release of the new Yammer, which we are targeting in July. So reach out to us, stay involved, stay connected, share your roadmap feedback on our user voice, and we hope to see you next time. Enjoy the rest of Microsoft Build.